Hello beta, good morning. Your lecture continue lesson 3. Should wizard hit mummy? Your next paragraph. Jack rapped on the windowsill and under the cover Joe's tall figure clinched in an infinite thrill. And then a tiny little old man came out with a long white beard and pointed blue hat and said, "Ah, what is this? Watchers want. You smell awful." The wizard voice was one of the Jack's on favorite effect. He did it by scrunching up his face in something waning through his eyes, which felt for the interval Remy. He felt being an old man suited him. "I know it," Roger Skunk said, "and all little animals run away from me." The enormous wise owl said, "You could help me." "Ah, well, maybe come on in. Don't get too closer." Now, inside Joe, there were all these magic things, all jumped together in a big dusty heap because the wizard did not have any cleaning lady. Why? Why? Because he was a wizard and very old man. Will he die? No. Wizard don't die. Will he rummaged around and found an old stick called a magic wand and asked Roger Skunk what he wanted to smell like. Roger thought and said, "Roses." "Yes, good," Joe said smugly. Jack fixed her with a trace like gaze and chanted in a wizard's elderly, irritable voice. "Abra, Cadaveri, Hocus Po, Rosa Skunk, how do you do? Roses, boses, pull an ear, Rosa Skunk, you never fear bingo." The wizard said these words. Okay, some difficult words. Shell means a shelf or slab of stone, wood, or metal at the foot of a window, opened, or a doorway. Cleansed means closed into a tight ball. Infinite means childish. Scrunching means take a loud crunching noise. Winning means the making of a long, high pitched cry or a sound. Rummy means watery. Jumbled means mixed up in confused, untidy way. Heap means object placed haphazardly on top of each other. Remazed means searched unsystematically and untidily through something. Smugly means in a way that shows excessive satisfaction or pride in oneself. Trace means a half conscious state. Gaze means look steadily and intently. Chanted means say or shout repeatedly in a sing song tone. Okay? To make the sound effect of how the skunk knocked the door, Jack knocked on the windowsill and Joe was thrilled. Jack continued that the old man with a long white beard and a blue pointed hat come out. The Jack made his favorite sound effect and continued that the wizard asked Rooster what he wanted and that he had very bad body odor. Odor means smell. Then to this Rooster replied that he knew that he smelled bad and told him that all the other animals ran away from him. He also told the wizard that the wise owl had told him that he could help him. Then the old man replied that maybe he could and asked Roger's skunk to follow him inside and not to get too close. Then Jack describes how the house of the wizard was really dirty from inside because he did not have a cleaning lady, to which Joe asked that why was it so? He then replied that because he was a very old man and also a wizard. He did not require any cleaning lady. Then Joe again interrupted and asked that would the wizard die, to which again Jack replied that wizard never die. Then the wizard started looking out for something and took out an old stick called the magic wand. He asked Roger what he wanted to smell like, and he replied that he wished to smell like roses. Joe was happy about the fact that he to smell like a rose. Then Jack said the magical word in the voice of a wizard. He paused as a rapt expression widened out from his daughter's nostril, forcing her eyebrows up and her lower lip down in a wide, noiseless grin, and expression which Jack was startled to recognize his wife finding pleasure at a cocktail party, and all of a sudden, he widespread the whole inside of the wizard's house was full of the smell of roses. Roses, Roger Fish cried, and the wizard said, very cranky, that will be a 7 penny, daddy. Oh, what, Roger Skunk? You said Roger Fish? Yes, skunk. You said Roger Fish, wasn't that silly? Very silly of you, stupid old daddy. Where was I? Well, you know about the pennies, say it. Okay, Roger's consent. But all I have is 4 pennies, and he began to cry. Joe made a crying face again, but this time without a trace of sincerity. The annoyed Jack downstairs, some more furniture rumbled. Claire shouldn't move heavy things. She was 6 months pregnant. It would be third. So the wizard said, oh, very well. Go to the end of the lane and turn around 3 times and look down the magic well, and there you will find 3 pennies. Hurry up. So Roger Skunk went to the end of the lane and turned around the 3 times, and there, in the magic well, were 3 pennies. So he took them back to the wizard and was very happy and ran out into the woods, and all other little animals gathered around him because she smelled so good. And they played tag, baseball, football, basketball, lacrosse, hockey, saucer, pick up sticks. What is a pick up sticks? It is a game play with sticks, like the wizard's magic wand, kind of. And they played game and laughed all afternoon, and then it began to get dark, and they all run home to their mummies. Okay, rapt means completely fascinated or absorbed by what one is seeing or hearing. Okay, nostril means other or two external opening of the nose. Grin means smile broadly. Cranky means bad tempers, irritable. Rumbled means make a continuous deep sound. Okay. Then he relates the face that his daughter made to that of his wife. She made such a face when she pretended to be enjoying a cocktail party. Then he continued that the whole house of the wizard was filled with fragrance of roses. By mistake, he changed the animal to fish. Joe corrected him, and he said that it was really silly on his part to call him a fish in place of skunk. Just then, Jack got a bite and annoyed with him, Joe's expression, and suddenly he heard some furniture rumbling downstairs. He realized that Cleo shouldn't be moving heavy things as she was 6 months pregnant and they were going to have their third baby. Then the wizard tells Roger to go to end of the lane and turn three times. And when he would look in the magic well, he would find three more pennies. The rooster did exactly how he was told and got the extra pennies. He then gave the pennies to the wizard and ran back to the woods, where everybody gathered around him because he smelled so good. Then they all played a lot of games and enjoyed themselves. As it was getting dark, all the animals ran back to their mummies. Okay, your next paragraph. Jo was starting to fuss with her hands and look out of the window at the crack of day that showed under the shade. She thought that the story was all over. Jack didn't like women when they look anything for granted. He liked them apprehensive, hanging on his word. Now, Joe, are you listening? Yes, because this is very interesting. Roger Skunk's mummy said. What is that awful smell? What? And Roger Skunk said, it is me, mummy. I smell like roses. And she said, who made you smell like that? And he said, the wizard. And she said, well, of all the nerve. You come with me and we are going right back to the that very powerful wizard. Jo sat up, her hands dabbling in the air with genuine fright. But daddy, then he said about the other little animals run away. Her hands skittered off into the underbrush. All right, he said, but mummy, all other little animals run away, and she said, I don't care. You smelled the way a little skunk should have, and I am going to take you right back to that wizard. And she took an umbrella and bent back with Ruju's skunk and hit that wizard's right over the head. No, Jo said and put her hand out to touch his lips, yet, even in her agitation, she did not quite dare to stop the source of truth. Inspiration came to her. Then the wizard hit her on the head and did not change that little skunk back. No, he said. The wizard said, okay. And Roger Skunk did not smell of roses anymore. He smelled very bad. But the other little Ammon means animals. Oh, animals. Johnny, it is daddy's story. Shall, shall daddy not tell you any more stories? Her broad face looked at him through shifted light, astounded. Astounded means shock, greatly surprised. Okay, first means to show excessive excitement. Apprehensive means fearful that something bad or unpleasant will happen. Awful means very bad. Fright means sudden intense feeling of fear. Skittered means move lightly and quickly. Underbrush means serves and small trees. Agitation means anxiety, nervousness. And astounded means shock of greatly surprise. And Joe had started getting bored with the story and was more interested in looking out of the window. She thought that the story was over. On the other hand, Jack did not like women who would take things for granted. He liked women who remained engrossed in his thoughts. Then he again continued the story, asking Joe to be a little attentive to what he said. The mommy skunk asked that from where was that awful smell coming from, to which Roger replied that it was him. He added that he smelled like roses. Mummy skunk asked Roger that who had made him smell like that, to which he replied that the wizard had done so. The mummy skunk got angry and ordered Roger to accompany her to the wizard. Roger told him mom that all his friends run away from him if he smelled bad, to which his mom replied that she didn't care and that he smelled just the way a baby skunk should smell. His mom took out her umbrella and they went to the wizard's house, where when the wizard opened the door, the mummy skunk hit him on his head. Then Joe started imagining her own story about how the wizard would have hit the mummy skunk back and never changed Rouge's skunk back. Her father told her that nothing of that sort happened and wizard changed Rouge's skunk back to normal and he did not smell of roses anymore. Another question was about to pop up in Little Joe's mind, but Jack stopped her and told her that it was his story, and if she wanted him to tell her any more stories, then she would keep quiet. Joe, on looking at her father with great surprise as she waited for the story to be continued. This is what happened. Then Roger Skunk and his mummy went home and they heard woo 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 woo, and it was the cuckoo cuckoo trains bringing Daddy Skunk home from Boston. And they had lima beans, celery, liver, mashed potatoes, pie o my for dessert. And when Roger Skunk was in bed, Mummy Skunk came up and hugged him and said he smelled like her little baby skunk again and she loved him very much. And that's the end of the story. But, Daddy, what? Then did the other little animals run away? No, because eventually they got used to the way he was and did not mind it at all. Lima beans means an edible flat whitish bean. Celery means a cultivated plant of parsley family. Eventually means in the end, finally. After some time, when Roger Skunk and his mum were going back home, they heard to woo 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 a sound as his father arrived back from Boston. Then all of and that she loved him a lot. With this Jack ended the story, to which Joe again asked that did the other animals run away from Roger's skunk again, and Jack replied no, because they slowly got accustomed to the smell, so that did not feel like running away with them. And lima beans, celery, liver, desert. Later that night, when Roger's skunk was sleeping, Mom skunk came back. She hugged him and told him that he smelled again like her baby skunk anymore. What is a Evans lady? It in a little while. That was a stupid mummy. It was not, he said, with rare emphasis. He believed from her expression that she realized that depending his own mother to her something as odd. Now I want you to put your big heavy head in the pillow and have a good long nap. He adjusted the seat so not even a crack of a day showed, and tiptoed to the doors in the pretense that she was ready to already asleep. But when he turned, she was crouching on top of the covers and staring at him. Hey, get under the covers and fall fast asleep. Bobby's asleep. She stood up and bounced gingerly on the spring. Daddy, what's the tomorrow? I want you to tell me the story that Wizard took the magic wand and hit that mummy. Her plump arm chopped forcefully right over the head. No, that's not the story. The point is that the little skunk loved his mummy more than he loved all the other little animals, and she knew what was right. And no, tomorrow you say he hit that mummy. When Jack said that, Eventually, everybody started liking Rose's skunk. Joe did not understand the word eventually as she had heard it for the first time. But Joe thought that what Mummy Skunk did not right said that what the mother skunk did was stupid, but Jack took it personally and said no because somewhere he was relating it to himself and defending his own mother. The Jack told Joe that he wanted her to take a long day nap and adjusted the shades so that no came in. He then went very softly to the door and acted as if Joe had slept, but when he turned and looked, she was staring at him and sitting on top of the covers. Then he told her to go to sleep as he was also disturbing her brother who was sleeping. Then she stood up and started bouncing softly on the springs. While jumping on the spring of the bed, she asked her father to tell her a story the next day. That the wizard took her magic stick and hit the mummy and chopped her plump arms. Then Jack explained to her that this was not what the story said. He told her that the story gave us a message that the skunk loved his mother more than any of other animals in the woods, and that his mother knew what was right for him and what was not. Then, as he was explaining Joe about the story, she started insisting that the next day he would to tell her a story like the man she wanted. Do it, she kicked her legs up and sat down on the bed with a great heave and complained of springs, and she had done hundreds of times before, except that this time she did not laugh. Say it, Daddy. Well, we will see. Now at least have a rest. Say, stay on the bed. You are a good girl. He closed the door and went downstairs. Claire had speared the newspaper and opened the paint can and wearing an old shirt, of his on top of her maternity smock and was stroking the chair rail with a dipped brush. Above him footstep vibrated and he called, Johnny, shall I come up there and spank you? The footsteps hesitated. That was a long story, Claire said. The poor kid, he answered, and with utter weariness watched his wife labor. The woodwork, keys of molding and rails, and beechwoods all around them was half old tan and half new ivory, and he felt cut in an ugly middle positions and down. He as well felt his wife's presence in the case with him. He did not want to speak with her, work with her, touch her, anything. Then he started throwing tantrums as he had done many times earlier, but this time she was not laughing or joking. She was being a white stubborn. Then Jack told her to be patient and sleep and that he would see to it the next day. He then asked her to stay on the bed and close the door. He then went downstairs and saw his wife painting the wall, and she had opened the paint can, spread the newspaper, and was wearing an old shirt of his over her maternity dress. She was painting the chair rail. Suddenly he again heard footsteps above and shouted that Johnny what want a beating. The sound of the footsteps started vanishing. Then Jack's wife told him that it was a long story that he was telling Joe. To that he replied, the poor kid, and as he was feeling very tired, he just sat and watched his wife do all the work. Then he started looking at the woodwork around him and started relating it to his life. He was looking at it and thinking that although both of them were cut in a case like a situation in their marriage, there was no solution to it. Neither did he want to talk to her and nor speak or touch her. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.